Come on. I don't think that's gonna work. I just have to be sideways. Turn on the ambience. I think that's the one I like. Get me tobacco pipe loaded. Let's get some heat in the tubes here. KI5UCO. Warming up the radio and the amplifier. Kilo India 5. Uniform Charlie Oscar. Getting warmed up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. KI5UCO.
Kilo Juliet 5, Hotel Golf Charm, KJ5HGC. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, just grand. Definitely not as cold as it has been. Pretty nice. Had a few problems with vehicles making it up and down the driveway. I was the only one that actually made it successfully in my truck. And I barely made it. I left literally half my tire in the snow. So been struggling with that, struggling to get hay for the animals, all kinds of stuff. Just everything's a struggle when there's snow everywhere.
Yes, sir, that is absolutely accurate there. I wish I could offer some help, but my Jeep won't be much help with getting hay and stuff for the animals, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the offer, but, or the sentiment rather. But not to rag on your Jeep, but I don't think it would make it currently. I don't think I will make it back if I left again. I think it was just because I was the first one that, came back. Two people had left, and I was the third to leave, but the first to come back, so I had a little fresh powder that I had to burn through with my tires to make it back. But, yeah, I don't think anybody's coming up it.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly like the challenge, that's for sure. But, in its current configuration, currently set up, you might be right in that. I may be limited and not be able to make it, but, wait till I get it finished the way I want it to, and then that'll be a whole other story.
I'm satisfied if you had tractor tires on there. Tractor tires and a whole bunch of weight in the back. I'm definitely not knocking them Cherokees because, oh man, I had one and it was fantastic. But yeah, I don't see it making it up even if you had some mud boggers or something like that. I just had street tires and I did make it up, but like I said, that was fresh powder, so a little different.
Yeah, fresh powder definitely makes all the difference, that's for sure.
Well, how about you? How are you faring in this blizzard out here? Getting the radio all warmed up and everything? Warm in the shack?
Yeah, got the last bit of the pine I've got on the stove over here, heating the place up a little bit, trying to knock the breath out of here at least. And computer's not screaming tonight, and thankfully last night I came out here and my computer, my PC shack out here, and the fan was just screaming 100%. I don't know what it was doing. I guess it was too cold. Couldn't figure itself out, so I shut it off last night. And as far fired back up today on the lunch a little bit. Came out here and it seemed to be fine. I did tried a little sideband 10 meter and got a couple contacts there, and then did some FT8 and got about a dozen or so there, and then I called it quits for lunch break and went back in the house. So I put a little heat through the antennas a little bit today, but this is the first on the VHF UHF for the day on this antenna though. So first is getting some heat, but yeah, everything else is it's working its way. It's doing its job here. It's all pretty good. Yep, just getting heat and everything, and myself, I actually ended up turning my heated vest off because the heat from the stove's already getting over here. I'm like, all right, cool, I can shut this vest off now.
Okay, I5 UCO. Yeah, I'm wearing a hoodie, one of them monkey suits, like a grease monkey thing, 2 pair of pants, 2 pair of socks, and a big coat. Nothing heated here, but so far, so good. I managed to actually stay out here a little bit. I think I was telling you last night and night before, I've kind of been picking and choosing. Not really rag chewing. I'll come out here for a purpose, but yeah, it's been painful, that's for sure, with no heat. So that wood stove will definitely do it. I've had problems with the electronics too, out this way. My VFO I fixed the other day. If it gets too cold, if you shut the radio off, it quits working again. So if I want to change bands and change frequencies, with how cold it is, I have to heat it up with a torch. Just a little torch. So maybe one of these days I'll work all the gun oil that's in there out of it. I think that's the issue, as that is becoming very viscous in the cold. But we'll get her figured out one day. As long as you keep her on and running, then it works pretty well.
Cajun5 HGC. Yeah, that makes sense there. It's probably getting a little gummed up in there, getting a little gummy. That's very, very possible, especially with these low temps that we've been having. Could definitely see that. Luckily I haven't had any, knock on wood here for sure, I haven't had any issues or malfunctions with anything yet. So that's a good thing. I did have no power one night last week, I guess. One night last week. And when I came out here to the shop, I had power that afternoon and everything, but then that evening when I came out here that night, no power. So I called it into, reported into Energy, and they had somebody out here, and he got it fixed on my power into the shop there. He got it all fixed and got out of my yard within an hour of me reporting it, and I had my power back. So, but for that first, 30 minutes or so before he got here, I was on the radio and everything, and I was running on just the battery power that I got. So I'm glad I did start with the battery backup and then move to getting a power supply instead of doing it the other way around. Because it definitely would have been lazy and not got the battery as quickly, and I would have been without radio, and that would have sucked.
Yeah, it would definitely suck indeed. Yeah, I'm glad mine is all battery powered out here, as much as it's a pain sometimes. I am glad it's battery powered. It doubles as if the people in the house need their phones charged, if we're out of power, or little stuff that just needs run for a bit, I can go up and run it out here. I haven't gotten up the gumption to running a 120 wire all the way back to the house so they could use my inverter. Too much voltage drop. But, maybe one of these days, but I just take their phones out if they need it charged and little stuff like that. We're pretty prepared for not having power because we've got the wood stove in the house and candles and hurricane lamps and all the likes, Pretty well prepared to not have power. Our heat doesn't run on power. We can cook on that wood stove. Can't think of anything that necessarily has to have power as far as necessities go. It's just convenient, Of course, if given the choice, I'd rather have power, but being able to get by without it is pretty handy.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not I'm not completely, not set for having a power outage like that for, the minor things. I can't power the whole house or anything like that, but, our phones and small devices, stuff like that. Yeah, I've got, this 100 amp hour LiPo battery that stays charged and fresh popped and everything like that. Plus I've got the 30 amp hour, I think it is, in my little Go box, my little POTA box, whatever that I've set up for the radio and everything to go in. So I've got that battery also, plus multiple solar panels to recharge those with. And the only thing I don't really have is a bunch of connections and adapters, to hook up to the batteries for, like, the charge adapters or USB plugs, stuff like that for devices. I haven't got that far yet. It's one thing I am lacking on, but I do have other ways of making it work, so it's not impossible. It's just not currently set up ready for that. But that is definitely something I'll be working on in the future here.
KI5 UCO. Well, fine business on that, yeah. Funny enough, usually I kind of worry because I use the lithium iron phosphate battery, so I worry a little bit whenever it's below freezing, being that I don't have any heat, because they say it's detrimental to charge them when it's below freezing. It's like you can discharge them all you want, if I remember correctly, but charging them while it's below freezing is supposed to be bad. Normally, I don't have to worry about it, though, because if it's below freezing, it's usually, well below freezing, The snow has normally covered the panels, so I'm not charging anyway. But this time, strangely enough, on both of my solar setups, in this shack and another shed, the snow came, but stayed completely away from the solar panels. That was pretty weird. There was like 8 inches of snow on each side of all the solar panels. So I guess they stayed warm, which is kind of worrying, but kind of convenient at the same time. But I have noticed very little detriment. Right now with the amp keyed all the way up, reading 11.9 volts, so I may have to cut the amp off halfway through this, but when I unkey, I think it goes back up to 12.8 or something. I'm drawing a lot of power at 160 watts here.
Yeah, I bet you are drawing quite a bit there with that on there, but yeah, I did hear about that too, and that was kind of a concern and everything I had, but one thing that I
12.5.
was reading into it about was it's detrimental to them because a lot of your basic chargers will just charge it straight up full high amperage and just give it all juice, and that when it's so cold, that sudden heat is that's what causes some issues on that. But if you get one of the smart chargers or something, and it can read the temperature of the battery and everything, and it brings it up slowly. It charges it slowly, bringing the temperature up gradually until it's at proper temperature, and then it can feed it the juice. And that's what I ended up getting. So I haven't tried it yet, but hopefully it'll be fine, good to go, and everything like that. But it's still currently sitting at like 13.3 volts. So there's really not much use in plugging it in and charging it.
Yeah, I think what saves it is either that, like you said, a smart charger, or getting batteries with built-in battery management systems. They'll automatically reject current and just dissipate it as heat to a point. I'm sure if you had like 40 or 50 amps coming in from your panels, then the poor old Chinese battery management system would struggle to keep up with that. But on my best day, I get 15 amps continuous, which is actually not enough for my battery bank, but it's enough generally for as much as I'm actually out here, So I'm a little under-paneled, as they would say, and I think that helps quite a bit, combined with the built-in battery management system of even the cheapest Chinese batteries.
KJ5 HGC. Yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about the battery management systems there. Yeah, that's probably that would be helpful if you have a good quality one. But like I said, if you have a cheap one, it may not last very long, may not work very well too. Who knows? You never know with some of that stuff, but it is out there, and I'll probably end up having to get one once I get ready to put my my big panels up because I don't know how to look and see, but I don't think it has the battery management system for it, and I think it's just a pretty basic charge controller.
Well, a lot of the batteries will have a battery management system built in. It balances all the cells in there because there's probably just several cells at such and such voltage that all run together equal, 13.8 or 14.8 or however much is considered fully charged. So it's got a little device in there that kind of controls that within the battery itself. At least most of mine do. I think I might have one that doesn't have a battery management system, but it's balanced well enough with the other ones that it doesn't seem to mind.
Oh, well, that's a good deal then. Yeah, I don't know if mine has anything built into it or not. I don't think it does, but it might. I'll have to look and see, I guess, read up on it again. I forgot the specs on it at this point. Got it several months ago, so. But it works great. It works fine. I like it. I'm happy with it so far, and it holds good charge. And even just running the radio on it and not having it not charging it, I mean, it runs quite a while, and I can do a lot of stuff. I can do FT8 and stuff and sideband at full power for quite a long time before I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably check this, and yeah, it's at like 12.7 volts or something like that. I'm like, oh, it's getting a little low. Okay. And that's after several hours of doing it, or multiple, hour days of doing it.
I usually discharge mine to about 10 something. I try not to go below 10 on the dot because I forget where damage occurs, but that's the great thing about lithium iron phosphate, in my opinion, is you can drive them down so much. Because if you got like what are those, nickel metal hydride, NiCad, or there's another, lead acid. If you get a lead acid battery, then you can't charge it as much, and like 12.5 is considered fully discharged or something like that. So they're cheaper and they're more robust, and they aren't as sensitive to temperature. But overall, I want the ability to drag them down further, even though it's not good for the battery. But yeah, it's whatever. They're gonna last as long as they're gonna last. So I just try not to drive them down under 10, but I have had them to about 9 volts before on accident. And it came back up, and no obvious loss, degradation in performance.
Kids are 5 HCC. All right, well, yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, I don't remember what mine was, and I know it said it was in the 10 somewhere, and they're like 10 and a half or something like that, but I couldn't remember exactly. But yeah, I mean, I've let it drop down to just under 11 before, but not much below that. Like 10.9, I think, is about the lowest I've let it get. But just watching it, seeing it only drop like not even a full volt over several hours of using it was pretty impressive.
It absolutely is. And there's 7 o'clock. This is KI5 UCO, Kilo India 5, Uniform Charlie Oscar, for the Thursday night Anything Goes net. Purpose of this net is to encourage the use of Simplex in the area and make improvements as such. As the name would suggest, anything goes. We have one request from Mr. Mel, once he jumps in here, to hop on 446 to see how we can do on that. So I have a beam pointed somewhat towards Harrison, I believe, and I'm listening here, and I can be listening anywhere anybody needs me to with minimal effort. All right, go ahead and check in now if you wish. This is KI5 UCO.
And this is AJ5C. Good evening, guys.
Good evening, Mr. Bob. Anybody else?
Good evening. KE5FAR.
There's Alan, and somebody doubled. Good evening, Mr. Mill. Anybody else?
KF0SDE.
Did you hear me check in there, Sean?
KF0SDE, loud and proud today. And there you are, Mr. Perry. Got you both in there.
Okay, good deal.
KJ5HGC.
And there's Ryan. Long time no hear. Anybody else? All right. Well, Mr. Bob, how are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain since the low went down to a minus 2.2 this morning, but I was under the covers. I'm not hearing anybody on my handy-talkie. I didn't have it turned on, Alan, when you talked, so I'm not sure if I get you or not. But no one else is showing up on it.
KI5UCO. Well, Mr. Allen, how are you? Good to hear you on here. Heard you had trouble with the fan dipole with this freezing and all that.
Well, the fan dipole wasn't damaged by anything to do with the weather, unless you count Hurricane Allen. It was all self-inflicted. But what I did is I did some work on the fan dipole. I shouldn't have right before, we're going to have freezing weather for 5-6 days in a row. Kind of like back in the day, you never, took the server down to do some maintenance on a Friday because you didn't want to spend the weekend there.
Yeah, I hear that. I sure do. Yeah. Well, I was reading about it, and that's unfortunate. But you'll get her back in tune once the weather, once it changes. And I hope that is soon. It's cold.
Well, at first I thought maybe Saturday, but it looks like it's going to be the first day we have above freezing, 41 degrees. I wanted to throw this out the mill because I wanted to let him know. I could hear everybody on my HT. Sean was a little scratchy, but I haven't transmitted on it. I would have to step outside, and it's too cold for that. I just want to let you know you could be heard here. But yeah, get cut off or double here. I just need to add 5.5 feet to the 160 legs on a fan dipole. You always start with your longest wires, get them where you want them to be for resonant. I wanted at 1.9, middle of the band, and then see how that affects the others. Hopefully that'll lower them back where they were, or at least I can go from there with adding some length to the 40.
A fine business on that. Yeah, my 40-meter dipole fell down in that last wind, and I have not put it back up. Well, I did once, and it fell back down again. The wire nut I had on it was apparently not very tight. So I haven't been doing very much 40-metering. I did do some 80-metering the other day. I got on the, 3905 Century Club. Hopped on their 75-meter early net. And oh man, talk about a pileup. I worked 27 stations in about 15 minutes on there. Everybody on the net. I worked them and then it was over. So yeah, I've been doing that here lately.
Well, that's a good way to get your work off states and kind of earn it more than just, with FTA like some people did. That's how I got most of mine in most of my countries. But also, I've been doing some work with the vertical, and when I get everything working, I'm going to print up some documentations comparing like say for example the 20-meter dipole versus the 20-meter vertical, and putting together it's all going to go in a part of a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to give at the next club meeting.
Well, fine business on that. Yeah, I'll have to get on the computer and do a little screen recording and things like that when the weather actually permits doing such. I've been trying to stay out of the shack unless I come out for a specific reason. It's cold out here. Well, fine business on that. I look forward to seeing and maybe participating in the presentation.
Well, I think one thing that you could do if you wanted to try to do a video would be just a simple 20-meter dipole at 40 feet with the proper, specs. And nothing complicated like we did with the vertical, just something really straightforward. If I could learn how to do that and learn how to modify it within reason, then we could get some screen captures from that and really compare what the takeoff angle is and what the radiation patterns, how they compare.
Well, we can do it. To my knowledge, at least we'll do our best. So, I am not an easy neck guru, but I've used it enough. I kind of know what's going on enough to do all the things I care about, which is mostly just current distribution and patterns of strange shaped antennas, delta loops, and the like. Yeah, that's usually all I do for. I don't worry about SWR, diameter of stuff, and quality of ground there. You can get real deep into that easy neck stuff. You sure can. But I normally just want to see where the thing's going, or relatively.
Yeah, well, you're putting in the major specifications. That's going to have the greatest effect on the things that you're most interested in. So that's all good. But the other thing is, I've already talked to Don. Got his call sign. What is it? K5DB. Don over in Springdale. He's going to have me to teach the same do the same presentation for their Ham 101 class. That'll probably be in August.
Well, fantastic. Yeah, it's really useful information for especially newer hams and just anybody, really. That modeling software is very, very handy for just seeing what's happening, what's going on with the antennas and why things are doing that. Because, you model a dipole and you can see a sinusoidal wave whenever it's a half wave. And funny enough, it leads you to more knowledge of how things are actually working, and then I guess how to improve them if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good presentation, especially for the newer hams that haven't even decided what antenna they're going to get yet, and they got a lot of things to consider, and also where are they going to put their shack, and there's some pre-planning that should go into even deciding where you're going to put it in your house, or where your antenna is going to be, and then what antenna are you going to decide for? It's a lot of information.
Oh yeah, absolutely. An information overload sometimes. All right, we'll come back around. WB5 R&D, KL5 UCO. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, everybody. Everybody sounds good tonight, and we're just trying to keep warm, kind of like you are there. And that's about it. Got my HT here ready for 446 if we want to try that after a while. And I don't have a base station. I can't do it on a base station, but I can try the HT tonight.
Well, that'll probably give us a good indication. At least we can relay here who hears who and yada yada and all that. Be a fun little test. I hope I'm pointed towards Harrison with my beam. If not, I'll have to break out the HT as well. Well, fine business on that. Yeah, it has been cold. That energy bill, if you're paying for the electricity, ooh, man. We're paying for it in wood. I'm about out. I'm hoping to make it until warmer days when I can make it up and down the hill, because right now it's a no-go. All right, WB5 R&D, KL5 UCO, break with you. Let's see. Who did I hear next? Oh, man. There's a few options here. Mr. Perry, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Been staying home for the last few days. Can't keep the office warm enough. Which reminds me, he's talking about keeping your batteries charged up. Why don't you put together one of those exercise bikes hooked up to an alternator, and you could kill two birds with one stone. You can charge your battery and keep warm.
You know, that's a great idea. I even thought about it once. I never got around to doing it yet, but yeah, if I'm out here in the shack is the only time I need power. So yeah, I've definitely thought about it because, you know, if I can at least replenish some of the power I'm using while I'm out here, and then, like you said, get to kill two birds with one stone, get two birds stoned at once, however you want to say it. I'm all for it. I'll just have to build it, I guess. But I have thought about it.
Yeah, my son and I have talked about that in the past.
That's a great idea. There's a guy named Kevin up in Iowa. He does a QRP net, and he does all kinds of crazy things, pedestrian mobile and all that. But he's done that. Hooked up an exercise bike, and he wasn't charging a battery. He was running his rig straight off of the exercise bike, and he's loaded up his corn stalks and silos, and he's just a fun guy. I like him. I've checked into his net once and made it down to where was that? It was one of the Carolinas, I believe, on 100 milliwatts, which was as low as I could go. I was still a pretty strong signal at that point. So a lot of fun if you ever get the hankering to see just how far you can go with something stupid or very low power.
Yeah, keeping that sort of a rig going wouldn't take too much handling.
No, he seemed to have good luck with it. All right. Let's see here. KF0 SDE, Mr. Doug. How are you copying us? How are you doing tonight? KI5 UCO. I guess he may have got cold. We'll come back to him. KJ5HGC. Good evening. How are you? Anything to share?
KJ5HCC. I'm doing pretty well. Staying warm by the fire over here and just listening to the conversations. Not doing a whole lot else. Hung out with the kids a little bit on my lunch break today after I did some radio stuff and pushed the little one down the hill on the sled a few times, and that's about it. They all got cold and we went back in the house, so I haven't done a whole lot else other than that tonight.
Fantastic. Well, you can't discredit that. That is a big ordeal, spending time with the kids and staying warm. Not much else you can ask for. Well, this is KI5 UCO. Did I miss anybody or anybody else want to check in before we go back around and try 446?
Comment, AJ5C.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was able to hear KE5FER on my handheld as long as I held it high and twisted it some. And I was also able to hear Mel on the handheld with no problem.
Fantastic. Was that on this frequency or 446?
It's on this frequency.
Well, looks like I'll have to run a kilowatt to get over to you, Mr. Bob. Either that or one of us will have to get on the roof. Because I remember my second contact ever was AJ5C. It was you. And I was standing on the roof. I caught Mel in there first, and then you were in there soon after.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, let's see if we do anything on 446. That'll be interesting. AJ5C.
All right, fantastic. Anybody listening or standing by? Don't go anywhere. We'll be back momentarily. Feel free to join us on 446.000 to see who can hear me. This is KI5UCO QSY. Oh, let me break this welter. This is KI5UCO on 446.
I can hear you on the base station, 856.
SDE's got you.
KF0 SDE, that is a long haul on 70 centimeters there. And I copy you there too, Bob. Man, good signals on 446. I pressed the wrong button. Who was that?
Kilo Juliet 5, Hotel Golf Charlie.
Man, you're about an S5 out here. Sounding good on 446 as well.
Hey, all right, I'll take that.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Romeo November Delta. Got you in there too, Mr. Mill. Can you copy?
Yes, sir. A little noisy, but I hear you.
Fantastic. About an S4 out here. You on the HT?
On the HT inside the house.
All right. Anybody else make it over here?
KJ5, DKK Variety. I can't hear you on my handheld, but I can hear you on my outside antenna.
Well, fine business on that. You're about an S6 out here on this base station. I don't have the HT handy.
How about now?
Mr. Allen, we got you. Loud and proud.
Yeah, I had to change a few of the settings on the radio before I could hear you. I had to turn off offset and all that good stuff. I've just been programming some repeaters recently, and it's remembering all that stuff.
I had that very same problem with this one when I set it up at about 4 p.m. today.
I have already had 446.100 programmed on here on channel 34. That would have been handy, but it's okay now. I'll be good for punching in simplex on a hurry this way.
Yeah, there you go. You're about an S8 out here. But honestly, I think I might be pointed in the wrong direction because I can hear Mr. Doug, KF0 SDE, and he is actually the loudest of y'all in here.
Don't count me for being loud and heard because I'm still on the base station, and if I hadn't been, y'all wouldn't heard me. Just count me as a no-go on an HT. I already know being down here in this hole, y'all wouldn't hear me.
Yeah, there was a perfect double there, but I copied all of what you said, Alan. Other station, go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. KJ5HCC. I was just saying that you're a little quiet over here. I mean, I can hear you just fine, but you're not really touching my meter or anything. But Alan, on the other hand, is 20 over 9 on me.
Well done. There you go, Alan. Loud and proud on you. Yeah, I think this cable has a delay in it or something. I receive better than I transmit.
Yeah, I would repeat what Ryan said. Ryan's almost making my meter, and you're giving me one taco. Also, everybody is louder than Sean, so it could be something with the directional of your antenna.
Sean's 5 bars over here.
I guess I'm pointed more towards Bob then. Yeah, I think this cable is the wrong choice for it. I don't even know what it is. I found it. I thought it was RG213 or something, but I think it's got some delay or something. Might be a specific cable for something that I just used for this.
Bob, when you said 5 bars, is out of 10?
Okay, roger that. And you and Ryan are just blowing me up.
Well, you call bars. I call tacos, and you're you're giving me 3 tacos, and Ryan's giving me 7.
Well, I would call them tacos, but they're not rounded on the bottom.
You know what? That's a carryover from another ham radio club or a group that I used to belong to called the Wingnuts, and that's what they called. That's how they did their signal strength.
Hey, that's cool. Now, this is the ID 5100, and yeah, I guess I could call them tacos. Some of them don't have very much.
It won't focus.
The others are quite full.
Varying length tacos. Yeah, you're right. I guess our screens look a lot alike.
Roger. Yeah, you guys got good signals, and Sean, I don't know which way he's pointing, but he's only giving me 5 tacos.
Apparently towards Missouri, because I can hear Mr. Doug just fine business. So apparently a little bit too far north.
Well, you're coming in here real good for a handheld.
Oop. I can hear Mr. Perry on the HD. I can copy him. Apparently I can't get to him too good.
It helps when you're not like me, where you're immediately surrounded by hills. It helps if the hills are a little further away.
Yeah, it helps you get over them for sure.
What's Barry's call sign? Victor Kilo Kilo? BKK, we got you.
Are you logging us, Mr. Bob?
Oh, if I have to tell, I'll say yes.
Well, fantastic. I'm going to get on your QRZ and steal that information and log you back.
Oh, no, it's not on QRZ. I'm just logging it on the net logger here just to see who's there.
Well, dang. I'm going to have to figure out what time it is.
I don't log anything on QRZ on VHF or UHF.
I remember where Perry lives now. I've looked him up on QRZ before. Yeah, he's down the street from here.
Yeah, he's not too far from you.
0.9 miles if the map's right.
Ooh, I'm getting cold.
KG5HCC. Alan, I think that qualifies as a neighbor pretty much.
Well, my closest ham is who is it? 85 DX.
You know, it's funny when you go to that website where it shows you a little red dot for every call sign in your area. Have you seen that?
Oh, a long time ago. Yeah, White's virtually 3 blocks away from me.
But your antennas are standing out more than theirs. Bob, you think your antennas are more obvious?
My HF
Oh,
antennas
come on.
are, yeah, this antenna I'm talking on here is it's a diamond.
We'll get this stood up one of these days.
This antenna here is just a tram 4.5 footer up at about 45 feet.
Okay, I gave my AP6 to Denny.
Think about it this way. I had to put a 40 to 50 watt radio with an antenna up, on a 40-foot pole. We call it 40-foot pole. It's not extended all the way. Just to do as well as Brandon could do 5 miles from here with his HT standing in this driveway.
KF0SDE.
I don't think I'm gonna get this to stand up, fellas.
This is back when I couldn't even hit the Green Forest repeater, and he could hit 5 repeaters from the end of his driveway.
I used to hit Green Forest, but don't get them anymore for some reason.
You should try again. They were down, I think, for a little while, and they've been back up for a few weeks.
See if I even have the right frequency.
Yeah, Green Forest is 145, 310 with a minus 0.6 offset, and the tone is 1035.
Okay, yeah, I was showing 146, 730.
Yeah, I don't have a 730 in here.
I think that's the last one. That's from years ago when CD had his over here.
Man, I
When I
can't get
first
this
moved
to
here
stand.
3 years ago, I was able to hit the Green Forest barely once or twice, and one time I was able to do it when my antenna was about halfway on the ground, covered nice, and it worked, and then it wouldn't work for a couple of years after that. And they recently did some work on it, and yeah, it works great, and it's linked into so many other repeaters. I was on it the other day talking to a guy in Pennsylvania.
That's cool. All right, I'll be back in a few minutes, guys. AJ5C.
That's about the
I
best.
need to go check on dinner. KE5FAR.
That figures. I finally get the tripod standing up, and then everybody runs off. KI5 UCL.
Check back on the normal simplex. I'll be back.
Yeah, Roger on that. Good to hear everybody on here. I can't believe I'm making it to Missouri on 446. Can't believe Missouri's making it back. That's fantastic.
KJ5HCC, yeah, that's pretty crazy. I get static in here whenever he comes in, but yeah, it's pretty cool that everybody else can hear him.
Alan. Pretty good.
Come again, Mr. Doug. I got you in there with Mr. Mel.
What'd you say?
Is that who it was, Mr. Mel, that I just heard?
Maybe, indeed. Yeah, you got a good signal out here. Try again. See who can hear you up or hear you out here. Man, I'm cold. Mr. Doug is gonna see if anybody can copy him down here. KF0SDE, KF5 UCO. Go ahead.
KF0SDE. Seeing if this radio is going to make it down to Arkansas on this frequency. First time I've been on this one.
Anybody other than me copy that?
KJ5HCC, no negative copy on that, just mostly static. I could hear a word or two every once in a while, and that was it, unfortunately. Again, I need to get my antenna up another 10 feet, 15 feet maybe.
Yeah, Roger on that. Well, Mr. Doug, seems like we've got a great path in between us. Unfortunately, seems like I'm the only one that can copy you down here. So that's nothing to shake a stick at, though. I did not expect to hear your voice on 70 centimeter simplex. That's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't know if it'd make it down there myself or not either. Like I say, it's the first time I've been on this frequency.
And I'm only running about 25 watts right now, so Yeah, and you got a very nice clear signal on 446, so it's fantastic. I would call that a win for sure.
Good deal. We like to hear that. Well, I'm going to get off the side over here and sit and listen for a while.
Roger on that. I think we might be about to go back to 146.52. Fellas, what do you think?
Sounds good to me. Catch you 5 HCC. I'll meet you guys over there.
Mr. Mill, you gonna QSY? Sounding good on 446 on the HT. I guess he already
KF0 OUQ, KF0 SDE.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sit back down in the chair. Warm up. KF0 SDE, KI5 UCO back on 146.52. Doing the business on 146.52. Sounding loud and proud.
That's a whole lot better.
And to be fair, it's quite a bit more power, but I don't know. That was a very strong signal on 70 centimeters, I'd think. I'm tempted to log you on QRZ with that one. That's, man.
Well, I think it's been a while back, probably 3 or 4 months ago. I talked to you from Forsyth on GMRS. I think it was what was that? I think it was a 650, if I remember right.
Yeah, but I think that was a repeater, though, wasn't it? That's kind of impressive, but I don't know. Simplex, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was on hitting the repeater down in Harrison from Forsyth.
That 650 machine, I believe, is on Gaither Mountains, so they've got a little bit of elevation on me, but apparently we've got a great path in between us. We probably could have just switched to Simplex on GMRS.
Yeah, might have been able to. But yeah, it's kind of fun to play with this stuff.
Absolutely, it is the bread and butter of my life. I'll tell you what. Especially when cool little things happen like that, and making it to the whole next state on 70 centimeters. That's crazy.
That reminds me. Speaking of crazy.
I heard you on the other one, but what reminds you?
Here's a really good example. It happened to me twice today. Okay, I was talking on GMRS to who was I talking to? Yeah, I was talking to Bill Rowland. And I said, I got to go deliver dinner to my wife downstairs because I broke the chairlift. Least I can do is bring her meals now. I'll talk to you later. And about a minute later, up front, I was headed downstairs. A guy come on there and said, is the guy still on frequency that has a broke chairlift? And I came back, and he was telling me about his friend that lives in Harrison that fixed his chairlift. And he took my information. The guy called me, and he's going to come over tomorrow and have a look at it. And see, that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for ham radio. So the money that I potentially save should be applied toward my ham radio hobby.
I don't know. Sounds like you got to apply it to GMRS.
What happened was tonight on 3935, I mentioned this story about the guy, and Sherman, who lives about a 2-hour drive from here, said that, well, if you don't fix it, let me know. I'll come fix it. He knows how to fix. He's worked on stuff like chair lifts and elevators.
Oh, well, there you go. Sounds like you got to split it then, because it happened twice. That is crazy. What are the chances of that?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying I'd split it, but it just goes to show you that you could talk to somebody about your problem on the phone, or you could talk to them about it on a ham radio, but somebody could overhear it and actually have a really good solution to your problem.
All right, I'll take it to heart. I'm having this problem where it's cold outside. Anybody got any solution?
I do, as a matter of fact. I was taking notes earlier. I forget who was talking about the generator. You hook a generator up to your bicycle. I've seen a video of a guy that has a magneto off a generator. You know, get it on an exercise bike, get it going really good, get all that weight of that flywheel spinning really fast, and then throw a switch on the feedback loop circuit, step off the bike, and all that power just keeps going. And the light bulb stays on, and the whole circuit stays hot. I don't know how much you got left over, you know, besides what's going back on the feedback circuit, but it doesn't take much to keep it going, you know, once you get that flywheel moving.
Yeah. I wonder how long it would go for. I'd about to go crazy about the conservation of energy and this and that, but you saved it there at the end where it doesn't take much to keep it going. So, yeah. I imagine you could get quite a bit of efficiency out of that, especially if you did like some gear ratio thing or something like that. Then you could probably just, touch it every now and again and keep it going enough.
You can step off that bicycle and not get back on it, is what I'm saying.
Perpetual motion.
Absolutely. You've already overcome the inertia. You know, body in motion tends to want to stay in motion. It only takes a little bit of energy to keep the wheel going. Your feedback circuit is supplying that energy, and you got all this leftover amperage to play with.
Yeah, but what about voltage loss and heat and let's see, gravity? There's probably more forces at play there, but what about those?
Sean, I took you for an optimist. That sounded like such a great idea. You'd have to give it a try. You know, you could find you an old broke generator and get a flywheel or magneto off of it.
Well, I'd do that because, if you pedal, then you're keeping warmer anyway. So, that makes sense. But perpetual motion, kapooey, or whatever they say, humbug.
Well, once you got your 20 or 30-minute workout in, you just get off. Right before you do, you flip that switch. And then you got some free electricity for the rest of until you get on the bike the next time.
Yeah, keyword until you get on it the next time. What, probably 30 seconds from then, maybe a minute, an hour, depending on if you had a battery connected, because then the battery just run the bike. Woohoo!
J5C is back.
It's supplemented with solar and a battery, absolutely.
Go ahead, Bob.
Back, give me that green force again. I'm looking at the repeater book here online. I've got 3 of them. I've got one shown on 145.310 and 146.73, and then 444.075.
44075. I don't see any of those. The only one I have on my list, and I'm not looking at repeater book, but the only one I have programmed. I have all the Northwest Arkansas repeaters programmed, but Green Forest is 145.310. They have a net on Tuesday at 7 p.m. They are a minus 0.6 offset, and the tone is 103.5.
Yep, that's what it shows in the book here.
Yeah, the one ending 7.3 used to be a fantastic repeater, but nobody would ever use it. I keyed that thing up in full quieting from the bowl of Everton down here, not on any hill or anything. So that was a fantastic repeater, but nobody ever used it. So I don't know if it's still up.
Good question. I'm going to go ahead and program this other one and see if I can hit it.
And copy John 446 there, Bob. But it's still copied.
Oh, yeah, I'm on 446, aren't I? I better switch over here. Let me go to the other one. Back on VHF.
Still loud and proud on 446. Yeah, the 310 is used quite a bit. And that one's phenomenal as well. But the 7.3 used to be a nice little hidey hole for just rag chewing or whatever.
Yeah, it was. I'm going to program this in. I'll be back in a couple minutes. AJ5C.
Mr. Allen, did I tell you I got 9 states on 160?
No, I didn't know you got 9 states on 160. How'd you do that?
Same way, 3905 Century Club. I checked in there and worked everybody on the list. And then I had 2 other stations from somewhere, because only 6 people checked in that night. I don't remember where the other ones came from. But yeah, jumped in there, worked all 6 stations. Band was noisy. Everybody left. Nobody hangs out on 160 unless you got big power.
Well, back in my day, which was a whole 5 years ago, when I went, you could only make 2 contacts. Sometimes only 1. They took turns going down this big long list, and you might get 2 turns in an hour.
Is that on the Century Club?
Says the guy with CRS. Could have been Ole Miss. I thought they were all like that.
I think they generally are, but the ordeal with the Century Club is that if you jump in there as a new guy, then all those other guys have generally worked each other, and they're just hanging out hoping new people get in there, because Ole Miss is obviously more popular in this day and age. So yeah, as being the new guy, just hopping on there, they'll try you even if they can barely hear you. So that's how I achieved that. I imagine if I went back, well, I'd probably have worked everybody on the list on 80 or 160.
So I could look them up on NetLogger and then tune in and just try to sound like a real EB and say something like, "Could I get a radio check?"
I just went in there like I owned the place, and they looked in their record, saw I was new, and jumped on me, almost to my detriment. It was like running a POTA pile up on 80 meters.
What if they look me out and say, "Oh, I see where you had one of our club memberships 5 years ago. Where you been?"
They might, but you'd still probably work them all. They're just sitting there waiting for people to come in.
They're trying to get unique contacts.
Unique states, new people they haven't talked to in a while. They're just trying for anything on there, because Ole Miss kind of took all their thunder. Everybody, as soon as Ole Miss starts up, they all run off over there, except for a handful.
It's hard to even get in there sideways.
Yeah, I made a short video about that, especially their 40 meter. I don't even bother. I don't bother unless I see a state I need. And then I'll check in QRP so I can get in first. But I'll do the Ole Miss 80 and 160 every now and again. And you do sit there and wait a little longer than you would on the 3905. Because, I mean, they were like hunting me down because I was new there. But yeah, same thing with the NativeNet. You can work quite a few stations, especially being new. They'll give you like 4 or 5 up for grabs in a row, especially if you're doing something dumb like pedestrian mobile, because they're just curious.
Oh, yeah, or even just plain old QRP. I remember when I first got my membership with Ole Miss, the day that I got notified you know how on their website it shows you the latest new members? Or on December 5th, I don't know, 2020 or whenever it was, 2019 probably, December 5th, 2019, the new member number is 12005, and December 5th is my birthday.
There you go. That's easy to remember. Yeah, I don't have a member number for any of it, actually. I just check in as familiar on Ole Miss. And if I stay on 80 and 160, they don't really push the envelope to say, oh, take my numbers and write them down, because they can barely hear me anyway.
Well, I do need to work on my log for, instead of just being mixed, see how many I can get on each of the different bands. Well, I tell you right now, 20 meters is wide open.
It was the other night. I jumped off of 10 where I was hanging out, trying out this Delta loop, and jumped down on 20 and had quite a bit of success into Europe and all that after dark. But I'll tell you, right at that gray line, I was going everywhere on 10 meters. I got Japan 3 separate times on 10 watts. And granted, it was FT8, but still, you know, a Japan station comes on, you've got a lot of competition.
Yeah, they're working Japan on 15 meters, Australia on 20 meters. There's even the tip of India. That's a lot. That's like halfway. That's the other side of the globe, for sure.
I'm back.
I'm surprised Bob's not working India right now on FT8.
No, I don't play that.
All over South America.
I've got most of them anyway. I was able to hit Green Forest real good. And yeah, your number 12005, that's pretty cool.
I mean, for an interesting birthday present.
Absolutely. My number is 6119.
There you go. Anybody looking for Ole Miss numbers, you just got 2.
Well, how about 73673? That's a 1010 number.
That one I can never get into. I think I'm too close to most of them for the antennas I have for that band.
Yeah, it's hard.
I think you'd probably be looking at probably like a half wave vertical or like a beam, I guess, to get a lot of those 1010 numbers, at least, you know, in America.
Yeah, you got to have 10 contacts to get a 1010 number.
10, 10, 10, there you go. Yeah, I haven't messed with that. Maybe in the future. Right now I'm just doing the work to all states. And master of this and master of that. Speaking of awards and things like that, I checked down to my my POTA thing, and I had I think like 6 or 8 awards on that thing, and 227 or something like that contacts. I was impressed. I hadn't been keeping track.
That's cool. You ought to go for the Triple Play Award, AJ5C. Triple Play on WADS.
Oh, what's that one? I'm intrigued.
That one was on CW, digital, and phone.
Yeah, 5 UCO. Well, I'll get it one day. So far, I'm up to only like 39 confirmed on mixed. So I think I would probably have 32, if I remember right, on phone. And the other ones are on digital, and then nothing on CW. I'll have to do some more work.
My digital, it's all on RTTY.
You know, I was doing a live stream, and the RTTY contest was going on. So I scrolled down there and decoded it, because the 705 can do that. I have to get me a program that'll handle that. I don't know what I'd be looking for. I'd just Google it, I guess.
FL Digi.
Well, there we go. I'll have to get that one. And I also messed around with Vara the other day, but I was missing one program to make it work, so I have to get that one too.
You and I are in the same boat. I'm missing one program to make it work as well.
Is it the, what is it, Vara VC? That's the one I'm missing.
Yeah, it could be. It's something to do with Windows, and I can't find it, so I just said to heck with it. AJ5C.
Yeah, I'm missing the Vara VC or whatever it is, and yeah, more or less said to heck with it. I'll get it one day, but not right now. It's hard enough to get a phone with a hotspot out here to download it or anything or upload it. So, but I'll be doing that pretty quick if I do some screen recording and things for that presentation Alan was talking about. So I'll probably get it then. And FL Digi probably ought to get that one too.
Talk about getting visible.
Probably just borrow a phone with a hotspot. Probably just to spite you there.
Come on now, I'm trying to get a credit on a refer a friend program.
Right now, I don't have any phone service at all. Strangely enough, my data still works, but I can't make any phone calls. So maybe I'll make the switch. Maybe I won't. Who knows? Only time will tell.
Well, I just dropped YouTube TV because it was going to go up from $59 a month to $72. My introductory plan was over. Football season's over, so I dropped him. I'm not going to miss him too much. I mostly watch Paramount. I don't really watch a lot of TV, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither. It's mostly YouTube videos and getting on the radio. Usually YouTube videos pertaining to radio. I think I might have a problem, but don't tell anybody.
You walk around acting like nothing's wrong, but in reality, you really want to buy some more radios?
Quiet.
Yeah, if I get a mysterious $5,000 check, I'm getting that $7,300. Sure enough.
And you'll have some change.
Again?
And quick keyed there.
Said you'll have some change left over.
Yeah, Roger on that. Probably ought to save that, but I don't know. A couple of them amplifier boards look pretty appealing and they're pretty cheap. Only problem is you got to have a power supply, like 50 some odd volts at 20 amp.
Well, I felt really bad that I broke my wife's chairlift, and it was going to cost a lot of money to fix it. I felt so bad, that's why I decided, well, the least I could do is drop this, charge that's for the TV, for the service, programming service, and save $72 a month. That'll help go toward getting that chair fixed. Now, if it ends up not costing so much, I might get to budget that money towards something I really want.
You're bad.
I think I can really justify the expense because I wouldn't be able to afford this. I don't have lofty goals, but I do have my eye on my antennas, NFED half-wave. They're really going up in price. I don't even want to say the price out loud in case you could hear me.
Oh, that's for sure. I'll be back in a second. I got an alarm going off here. I got it turned down.
How much power does the one that you're looking at handle?
It's got 3 cores, so it's due full legal limit. It's also got, I would like to get the 7510. I had the 4010 before, and I doubled the wiring at the splice point. I put a 220 picofarad capacitor, so I made it a 7510 for the price of a 4010. But it only had 1 core, it couldn't handle a lot of power. I ended up selling it, but I'd like to get the new one, the 7510, for a number of reasons. The most is that my amplifier likes an SWR below 1.5. And with my dipole, I've got such a narrow band, a narrow range of frequencies in each band that I can actually talk on.
Yeah, especially on 80. I'm surprised your bandwidth is as narrow as what you've shown on 40. That's crazy to me. But then again, I have not added any other elements other than 40 and 20 to mine. But it actually increased my bandwidth on 40 whenever I just had 40 and 20. But yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I think that thing will serve you well, as long as you point it in a direction you want to go on 20 and 10.
Well, on 20 and 10, I'm not using the fan dipole. I've taken those elements off, and so I freed up a couple of holes on the fan dipole, spacers, the PVC pipes. So I'm going to have 2 wires for 75. I'm going to have one of them 61 foot 6-inch legs. That'll be good for 3.8 megahertz. The 60-inch legs will be good for 3.9. So combining those two together hopefully will double my wavelength. It worked on the hamstick dipoles when I did it. Did that exact same thing. I'm going to try doing it on the fan dipole. The 40 meter, I'm going to have 2 wires, one for 7.15 and one for 7.25. And then maybe I could talk on maybe the whole band that way. I don't have that problem on 20 meters. It seems like the lower the frequency, the narrower is the band the width is.
Absolutely. Higher the Q, better the efficiency, but also narrower the band unless you increase wire diameter or loading coils or do what you're talking about, adding extra legs. I was talking about the 80-10 in-fed half wave. As long as you point that somewhere where you actually want to go for 20 and 10, specifically 10, then I think you'll enjoy that quite a bit.
Yeah, I've only really got one tree option for that. My neighbor's tree that is letting me borrow to hold up the end of my 160. I may end up, if I get really fed up with the fan dipole, I might just chunk it, sell the 1-to-1 Ballon. It's about the only thing in the whole bundle that's worth anything. And I could have one wire going from my pole, my push-up pole, over to my neighbor's tree. One wire, hardly anybody would even see it. And I could work. I wouldn't be able to work 160 anymore, but I don't really use it much anyway.
Well, I don't know about their design, but if it's a 43 material, they are approved for high Q transformers. So you might get, one frequency, a few kilohertz on 160 that you'd be able to use. It might fall somewhere where you actually need it. I'm more concerned about hopefully it's pointed in a good direction. Well, what direction is your neighbor's tree in relation to where you'd be feeding the thing?
Yeah, almost straight north.
Well, and on 10 and 20, hopefully other stations you work or you want to work are going to be north and south then.
I still think my best bet is going to be, and I'm going to have these on a AB switch where I can compare them, but I think my best bet for 20 meters through 10, the 10 through 20, is going to be that vertical.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I believe it'll be, I won't say night and day, but you'll be quite directional. You'll have a lot of gain on 20 and 10, at least a couple dB. I would have to model it to see for sure how many dB, but you'd be directional and have gain north and south with that 80 through 10. It's what a lot of people throw it up and wonder why they put it north and south and don't really get east and west very well. because they got knolls in that area because of the traveling wave down the wire colliding into the next full wave, and the next full wave like a beverage.
Well, the only other option I would have would be to put about half the wire pointing east and one half of it going north, and take a 90-degree turn and go east.
Yeah, then you'd have opposing currents. I don't know how bad it would affect it. It might be negligible. I'd have to model that too. That's the kind of stuff I like to model. Specifically, that is long infeds or delta loops or crazy shapes or just random wires, just to on purpose, put that gain where I want it. In this case, the delta loop I threw up the other day, I didn't measure anything at all. I just run the manual tuner, but it is faced to where gain on 40 meters is in the direction of the northeast, by my calculations, hopefully towards Montana and Wyoming.
Well, I think I'm going to be all right once I get some more legs in my fan dipole. Forget about the 20 and below and just focus on the longer wires, and I'll be all right. And then I won't have to fool with an infed at all. But it's always good to have a plan B.
I like the infed, for sure. I like that idea. I like running them. But, I also, if I'm wanting just an omnidirectional uniform coverage, if I'm hunting POTA or anything like that, I switch over to my vertical on 20 or 10. And just because I like how it goes. I like the low angle radiation, the uniform takeoff angle, or fairly, of course, things around affect everything. But yeah, I like that much better than being stuck in one direction with a wire 60 foot up in the air, and I can, say, work Maine every night, but can't get to Louisiana. Yeah, it's almost maddening.
Well, what I'd really like to see is something like a Wolf River coil over there on my cyclone fence, where I could adjust it for 75 through 40, and I could ditch the fan dipole altogether.
Yeah, there you go. Especially if you're wanting to get out and about. Vertical's pretty well the only way to go on 75. As I've been finding out here recently, it does pretty bad on localized NVIS contacts here. I checked in the Razorback net earlier. I checked in portable, and a guy running 6 watts beat me, and I was running 100. We doubled in the 6 watt station 1. I was pretty mad about that. Checked out SDRs. I was hearing myself in Utah during the day, but the guy in Arkansas could barely hear me.
Yeah, that's the way it goes with ham radio. I hear my dog whine. I think I need to go take her outside. I'll be back. E5FAR.
KI5 UCO for ID. Well, anybody else got some input?
There you go, doing that redundant thing again, AJ5C.
I done forgot what I said.
You said your call sign for ID. It's inherent when you say it.
Well, you better not catch me on a Friday. I'll say for ID on a Friday.
Oh my.
Yeah, got to say 73s and give non-standard phonetics. This is kilowatt, igloo, fiver, universal communications operator.
Oh yeah. Yep. That'd be a good one.
Sounds like 80 meter activities to me. I struggle to hear you too on your vertical, Mr. Bob. And funny enough, I put a 40-meter hamstick, got it tuned perfectly on my truck. Tried to jump in with the fellers on 7181 in the morning. Not a single one of them heard me. They were all too close.
I'll be darned. Are you talking about on the racetrack net?
No, on 40 meters on that one. They heard me on the Razorback net from the vertical on the truck, but it was a struggle to get down there to that feller in Malvern. He was running the net the other night when I checked in mobile.
Oh, okay. 40 meters, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I said, well, this is junk. I'm going to try to put a mount on the front of my truck and a mount on the back, and then run a shortened 40-meter dipole horizontally across the whole truck. So that way I can be, NVIS on purpose, because the vertical didn't work. They were all 20 over, but they couldn't hear me on 100 watts, and that was insane.
Well, that should be an interesting picture to see.
Already picturing one of those pictures where you got a pole sticking up your front bumper and a pole sticking up on your back bumper, and then you got a wire in between and a dipole in the middle.
Yes, sir. That's the goal. It'll have to be shortened a little bit. I think my truck's only 11 and some odd feet long, but I think that'll actually perform better than the hamstick, surprisingly.
But put you one of them kayak haulers or something similar to it, a pair of kayak haulers up there, and then you just keep going back and forth. You go down, you go over about a foot, and you come back to the other one, and you keep going back and forth in a rectangle.
Yeah, shortened delta loop for 40 meters, mobile. Yeah, I want one of those roof rack things. I want one of them bad. The ones that go all the way down to your bed or whatever. Because if I can isolate that bad boy and put a remote tuner on there, oh man, I'd be running 80-meter mobile, no problem.
You see where a ham radio operator goes when you see stuff like that?
I bet that could be an antenna, even if it's stupid.
Yeah, that's what we do when we go to discount bins. We're plundering through them bins, and we grab a hold of something, and I'm thinking, that could be a slot antenna, or this could be a shelf for my ham radio.
Yeah, forget any other practicalities. But yeah, you were in there that day I tried to check in mobile, and not even you heard me. Granted, you're kind of weak on me because I was vertical and too close to you. But that told me that I was not NVIS. Yeah, not a single one of those fellers was able to hear me at 100 watts on 7181. That's crazy.
Yeah, but we've heard you on there since then.
Yeah, not mobile though. That's with a dipole or a delta loop or just any other thing other than a vertical. If I run a vertical, even if I put it on my gigantic field of radials out here, you guys can't hear me.
Would that coil that you have on your pedestrian mobile pack, on that backpack, that coil that you had, would that work for 75 meters, or is that too far off it?
If you put like 60 some odd radials down, it will get to what's the next one? 60 meters, but it won't quite get 75. Maybe if you added even more radials, it might get to the very, very top of 75.
I think I'll just put a Wolf River coil on my wish list. I think adding a cyclone fence would be enough radials.
Yeah, you'd think. I don't know. It might be an ordeal of the fence and all being connected and on top of each other to where you really only have two radials as far as RF goes.
they're all touching and connected together. But you're welcome to bring it over and try it.
I'll have to do that one day, but yeah, I'd like to see 80 out of it. But I think even if you get to 75, 80, whatever you want to call it, I think that stainless steel eBay coil would just be altogether inefficient with that short of a radiator. I don't know. I did manage to make it into the Razorback net with one of those Hustler resonators stuck on the back of my truck, but they asked me to repeat myself 2 or 3 times, and that was just down to Malvern, so I don't know.
I tell you what would be better mounted over there on that cyclone fence would be a screwdriver antenna that automatically changes frequencies.
I got a brand new one. It's never been used.
Of course you do.
It's a Tar Heel 100.
Can't even get those anymore.
Really?
See if you can find, besides finding one, they could be secondhand or maybe they're new. Maybe new and never used. I don't think you can get them from a dealer.
I'll be darned. Yeah, it's a good antenna. When I bought it the package for the 706.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. So that wouldn't work with my ICOM 7300.
Probably not directly anyway.
Something different that somebody that wanted that would have purchased differently in the first place.
I don't know. You could probably use it without the tuner. That tuner was strictly for the 706. You don't need a tuner for it.
No, I just want the antenna to adjust itself automatically. But doesn't that interface with your radio?
The one that I had, yeah, it interfaced with the 706 and it was automatic.
Do you have to get a different interface?
Yeah, you do.
Think they still sell them?
I doubt it.
There's another reason why I never should have sold my 706.
That's why I keep mine. It's a good backup.
My first ham radio had a lot of sentimental value. I really should have kept it.
Yes, sir. They're worth their weight in gold.
That could be my POTA rig.
Oh, absolutely.
There was another station in there. This is KI5 UCO. Station call and go ahead. I guess they QSY. Yaesu does that automatic tuning thing with their ATOS stuff, so that'd be a route, but it'd be a whole other radio. I think I'd just try to find a controller that goes up and down and tune it by ear.
The other thing I'm wondering, and Bob, you probably know this, is that Tar Heel it's made for a mobile. It's usually on a mobile. It wouldn't be like a base station antenna, but it would be okay out in the weather like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I had thought one time when I first bought it, and then I bought a car and got rid of my truck and put it on a patio table. Put it in the center where the umbrella goes.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to go check on my wife. I haven't seen her in a few hours. I better go back. I probably should just go QRT for tonight. It's been a good conversation tonight. Good talking with everybody. I'm going to tell you all good night and talk to you all another time. KE5FAR. Good night.
Yeah, good night, AJ5C.
7-3, Al.
I think what I need to do, Sean, is put my VHF UHF up on the top of my one tower.
Yeah, that'd help. Sure would. You already hear pretty great now, so you'd hear even better then, hopefully.
Well, right now, for the last 15, almost 20 years, it's been attached to the chimney.
I mean, no shame in that game. Mine's only 10 feet off the ground, maybe 15.
Yeah, this has been, let's see, it's been up there 18 years.
I keep threatening to get mine higher, but I'd have to utilize a tree or something like that and need to get me a tower. But I know if I do that, I don't know if I'd put a UHF, VHF antenna on it. If it was big enough of a tower, I would just load the whole thing. Use it on HF. Maybe throw a UHF, VHF on the top.
Then you want that old tower that they used to, I guess they still sell it. I don't remember what it was called. But it was an HF tower. You loaded the whole tower. It was pretty decent.
Yeah, to avoid having to get porcelain insulators and things like that, I'd probably just either shunt feed it, or more than likely, I'd run insulators off and then do like a fan vertical, like a DX Commander.
Yeah, this was made by High Gain, and yeah, I think it had insulated feet down there as well.
I don't know if I'd go that far. It sounds hard. I'd probably just bury the thing like normal and either shunt feed it or fan vertical. But having something up high that I could actually climb anytime I wanted would be handy.
Yeah, that it would be. Well, my climbing days are over, that's for sure.
I hear that. I didn't even do it that long, but I don't know. This cold snap here reminds me of why I don't do that professionally.
I hear you. Well, I thought you were doing it for a while there.
Just shy of 2 years, maybe, as far as the cell tower things. I do stuff locally every now and again, but you know, it's not like an everyday ordeal. I don't often leave the house, really. I just do whatever I can.
I hear you. Yeah, same with me. I don't go out unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah, the rest of my family, they like to go to the skating rink and hang out with people and all that, and that's cool, all well and good, but I don't know, since I've semi-retired, I've become quite the hermit myself. I just want to stay inside and play on the radio or just hide from everybody. I've seen what's out there. Travel all around climbing them towers. I didn't like it. I like it here.
Yeah, there you go. AJ5C. Yep, I could say that's a good thing.
KI5 UCO. Well, I meant to ask you the last time we brought it up, but I forgot all about it. You trying to get rid of that screwdriver, or you going to keep it in the package?
Oh, I'd sell it if someone wants to buy it.
I have to see how funds go and this and that. Yeah, probably another time, but I've been interested in trying to get into one of those because I'd like to try it out pedestrian mobile. That way I don't have to change out Hustler resonators every time. And just regular mobile too, you know, just screw it on wherever.
Only macro. Well, that's got one good sized antenna. I think it's got a 108-inch antenna on it.
Fantastic. That'll work beautifully. Maybe not for pedestrian mobile. That'd be a little heavy, a little unwieldy, but it worked great for mobile. What bands it cover? I assume 80 down to, you could probably get to 10.
I think it goes 80 through 6. No, I got to check. Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can find a book on it.
108 inches. I think you'd struggle to get 6 out of that one, unless you're doing like a full wave or something, or something crazy.
I think the book's out with the antenna.
Yeah, With 108 inches, I'm just going to guesstimate 80 through 10. I'd like to do 160 mobile, but that's just not practical. Even 80 mobile is kind of, it's kind of questionable.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the length or not. I'm just thinking.
Either way, it'd be fantastic to play around with, because I imagine doing more of the tuning there at the antenna feed point and having, I don't know, a longer radiator. Of course, efficiency would go up and convenience would go way up. I mean, that's way better than swapping out these mono banders, which I don't have to swap them out too much because I normally will pick two bands and I use them like a fan vertical. I have a coax T and I just run both and it works like that.
That's cool. Yeah, it's a good antenna, and I know it does 80 through 10 or 80 through 6, I think.
It may very well, but yeah, I think for mobile applications, really only 40 through 6 is going to be very useful there. Although I did make 80 mobile work the other day, it was not good. And I heard somebody today who was mobile on 80, and he had a great signal, so maybe he has a screwdriver.
Yeah, they work pretty good on 80.
Yeah, that's just crazy to me. I figured you'd have to, probably run one of those and have 400 or 500 watts to have any kind of efficiency on 80, which really that's not efficiency because you're just burning the power, but you know, having power to burn in the first place. I know it don't work at 5 watts into a 102-inch whip. I tried that. Not a soul heard me. K5 EDD was net control that night, and not even he could hear me.
Oh, that's interesting. When he's net control, I bring my power down on the 7300 to 1 watt.
Yeah, he couldn't hear me on 5 watts with that short of a vertical. Another thing I've been toying with is I might repurpose my inverted L for something else. Maybe put the delta loop back up. And I've been thinking of just getting some better guy wires and just keep stacking that top rail and bolting it together until I have a full size 80 meter vertical. I'd like to see how that works.
Oh my! Don't hope the ice storm doesn't show up.
Yeah, I definitely have to do better than what I have been. It's just paracord, and one of them broke in the last wind and ice and all that. So I quickly went up there and retied it down lower, and it's not straight or whatever. But I think if I had like some good quality rope and an isolator and then a steel cable from there and actual guys and, you know, put more effort into it, I think I could get away with it. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, most likely you could, AJ5C. I don't understand why my 30-meter add-on to my vertical broke twice, right in the middle. It's wire rope. I mean, it's strong. It's got good tensile strength to it. But for some reason, it broke twice. Almost like a bird went right through it. But I don't know if a bird could break it.
And just that one?
Yep. Yeah, the vertical, it's you put this wire on the side of the vertical and run it up the side.
Yeah, like a DX Commander type ordeal. Fine business on that. That's crazy that it was the 30 meter that broke twice. I got on 30 meters the other day because I needed like 2 or 3 confirmed contacts for one of those awards on digital. And I thought, those guys will QSL because there's nothing else but CW really going on 30. As it would turn out, not a single one of them QSL'd on QRZ, so I guess it was back to the drawing board on that one.
I'll be darned. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed 30 meters for CW and RIDI, and I think that's about all I did on that one.
other than FT8, FT4, Red ECW. Isn't that all you can do? I'm trying to look at the chart, but I've got flashing lights. I can't read it.
Yep, it's all digital.
I'm reading 200 watts PEP. I think that says. I'm no danger of breaking that rule.
Yeah, me neither.
It might be close on 60 meters, which is another reason that I am kind of timid to work down there. It's because it's, 100 watts EIRP, which with, these long wires that I like to run, I'd really have to remodel it and specifically see what it looks like on 60 meters, because I might be cutting it close even with 100 watts.
That's true. 100 watts PEP on that. I've never run 60 meters. I don't have an antenna that will do it.
It's not PEP, EIRP though. So you could run 100 watts if you had an inefficient, or you could run 200 watts if you had an inefficient antenna. But my thing is, you could also get 100 watts EIRP out of 10 watts if you had a gain antenna.
Now, what it is, it's ERP of 100 watts PEP.
Either way, I'm a little timid. I can tune it up, no problem, but I've listened down there. I've heard a few QSOs, but for one, the EIRP, which whatever, I could probably get away with not modeling that and still be fine due to losses in the tuner and the feed line and just inefficient antennas. Turn the power down to 50 watts, keep it safe. But the ordeal is that my 735 is what do they call it, Mars modded or whatever, but it's also slightly off frequency, so people have to be talking there already. I can't just go and call CQ.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I wanted to put that new stick up for UHF, VHF, so my ERP will be a little higher.
Yeah, I like the EIRP. It makes people mad sometimes. You'll be calling CQ POTA and you'll come back to them 5 watts, and they think that you said QRP at the end of your call sign just to be first in the pileup. I've been accused of lying before.
Yeah, when your ERP goes up, it's just like right now with my 100 watts output on my big antenna, my ERP is about 800 watts.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I calculated it out for 10 meters when I had that big delta loop up here. And I was looking at somewhere in the effect of 14 to 20 dBd gain. So massive EIRP with that one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
By the time you got to 20, it was, 10 or less, but that's still a massive amount of gain for 20 meters. So most people are probably just running dipoles or something like that. So they accuse me of lying.
Yeah, my 6-element beam has a dB gain of 6.6 to 6.9 on 10 through 10, 15, or 20.
Yeah, I was looking at about 6 dB gain, even down to 40 with that delta loop. By the time you get to 80, you're looking at like 2, which is fantastic because, your standard, I threw up my own 75 meter dipole to talk to my buddies. It's probably got like negative 0.15 dBd gain, so negative gain. So that's pretty great. And 160, I had a positive 0.01 according to the model, and it worked fantastic because to get that with the dipole, you'd have to have it up pretty high.
Yeah, if I gave the wrong numbers, my mind wasn't working. It's 9.6 and 9.9.
That's spectacular. The advantage, I reckon, is 'cause you can point it. The delta loop, you get gain, wherever it decides. If you didn't measure the wire and specifically orient it on purpose, it's kind of just random bouts of gain.
Oh yeah, for example, when I have it pointed, I usually keep it pointed northwest. And with that, I can work the East Coast pretty good off the side, and I also get Dominican Republic and South America off the back end.
There you go. There's a feller who lives in Arkansas. You may have been acquaintances with him, N6TCO, who points a beam around on 40. And when I check into that NADANet, and oh man, I thought I was going to have to shut the radio off to keep him from blowing out the front end the other day. And I was almost not kidding.
No, I don't know him, AJ5C.
KI5 UCO. I don't really know him, but man, was he strong out here. And every now and again, DX stumbles onto that net, and of course him and a few others with a little higher power always get to him. But that don't bother me none. I'm trying to work all the states.
So what I should have done when I moved here, instead of putting up that 6 element that I have, I should have put up a step IR.
Oh, hello, I missed all that. Just wondering what program you were using to see what stations you were hitting. I was probably using WhisperNet or PSK Reporter. And what was I using? NVIS.
Lose you?
With the inverted L, not really. It's quite directional. I'm still here. I saw that I had some comments on the live stream, and I had neglected to actually pay any attention. Yeah, the step IR, that's adjustable, almost like a screwdriver as a beam, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is. I got a DB18 that's a pretty decent rig, and yeah, you can put a 40 add onto it, and boy, that thing is something else.
I don't doubt that. I don't have the equipment to run beams as of yet, and I might one day, but so far I just take to putting massive amounts of wire and hopefully pointing them in the right direction, getting gain that way. I've been toying around with the idea because, until it broke, I've got this 40-meter dipole, and I believe enough space, almost exactly to beam. I've been thinking about doing that.
Well, you can. That's not a problem.
Other than the work that it would take to do it. But yeah, I've been toying around with that idea. I don't know if I'll quite do it for 40. I think I'll just stick with massive inverted L's and rhombics and and other crazy stupid antennas for those. But I may make one for 20 or 10, something easier.
Well, there you go. Anyway, I think I'm going to get out of here and see what we're going to do for dinner.
Well, fantastic. Enjoy that. Been a pleasure as always. AJ5C, KL5UCO, 73.
Alrighty, Sean. Yeah, I enjoyed it. We'll look for you again tomorrow sometime. 73 from AJ5C. We're going to the kitchen.
Anybody else out there? Hello? Can anybody hear me? KI5UCO.
Yes, me.
Yeah, I'm still listening, John.
0 SDE, Doug in Kirbyville.
Yeah, it's KJ5HCC. I'm still here too. Standing by the fire.
Well, hello, Mr. Doug, Mr. Perry, and Mr. Ryan out there. Got off on a little tangent there, didn't we?
Maybe just a little bit, but that's all right. It was good information. It was good entertainment there, so didn't mind it one bit.
Hey, could you believe I couldn't get 40-meter mobile to work? That's crazy. That's just absolutely insane.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with you. I can't believe you didn't get that going. But maybe one day you'll get it. I'm sure. Just have to add some poles and some extensions and everything on there, and just kind of rig it up. You'll get something going on there. You get 40 mobile one day.
Well, correction. It worked. It just didn't work at my targeted communications. I was still 5/9 in Utah during the day, and up into Wisconsin and Virginia, just not in Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Tennessee, and I think Alabama is where that group hangs out.
Yeah, just some minor adjustments and you'll get it, I'm sure. Get some invis in there and it'll be all right.
Yeah, most people struggle with the opposite. But I struggle to talk to you guys. I need to set me up some NVIS stuff, especially more and more of us getting on HF and all that. Need to get me a set of dipoles up. Sure do. Low dipoles. I can actually talk inside the state.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Maybe something I do with that 20-meter dipole that I put together there. I might make it fairly low to the ground there and see how that can pan out.
They say NVIS doesn't work on 20, but here to say that it does to a point. You probably will still not really, still not really get to your local states on 20 meters, Missouri, Oklahoma, all that kind of stuff. But you can intentionally keep it within the United States, which is a bonus a lot of the time. And instead of just doing like I do on 10 meters and only getting California and beyond, nothing in between.
All right, fine. I'll add some links on it and make it a 40 instead. Is that better?
Yeah, they'll both work. I've heard Alan on 20 meters. He's never heard me, but he's running more power, but usually at least. But yeah, we can try for 20. If 10 works, then 20's got to in some way or the other, but supposedly that NVIS don't work. But I think with the takeoff angle, you can do invis on anything if you wanted to. If you had a 10-meter beam pointed fairly straight up at the sky, well, if the atmosphere is thick enough to keep the signal in, it's going to bounce straight back down. That's NVIS.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very true. It could work that way, but I could always add some links to it. It's not too difficult to really, I don't think. I don't know, I haven't tried it yet, but I imagine it's not too terribly bad.
I think you're just gonna enjoy it, even if you do it not for any of that reason. Diversity. The other day I was struggling to get POTA contact on 20 meters because the delta loop wasn't pointed to them, and neither was the inverted L. So I switched to my my CB halfway vertical. Yeah, no problem at all. 5.9 both ways. So yeah, I just like diversity. So I think if you get that random wire or whatever you want to call it with that 64-to-1, and whatever other crazy antennas you devise in the future, and then keep a set of dipoles on the back burner for more local stuff, I think you'll just be happy with it. Because especially when I check in like the NADANet and I'm trying to work all the states, a lot of times I'll switch to the 40-meter dipole just to keep everything more local when the band goes long on 40.
Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. I do have a 3-way switch over here, so I can put 3 antennas up pretty easily and be able to flip between the 3 of them pretty quickly. So that is a bonus on that side of it there.
Well, fellas, I hate to run off. Don't want anybody to feel left out. I know we got off on some tangents and all this and that. But believe it or not, it's starting to get cold out here in this non-heated shack. So I don't know about all that. I don't know how long I can stick her out.
Because you're 5HGC. Oh, bud, you don't have to stick it out for anything. You get cold, you go in the house, go on in the house. It's understandable. It is very cold out currently. So, yeah, it's only 10 here with the wind blowing. It feels like 4. So it's very cold, I would say. And, yeah, with no heat, yeah, you've stuck it out quite a while.
Well, with your permission. KJ5HGC, KJ5BKK, KF0SDE, WB5R&D, AJ5C, and KE5FAR, and anybody else listening. I reckon I'm going to shut her down. Go back inside. 7-3, thanks for showing up, keeping this net going. I know I have a lot of fun. Even when we get off on tangents, and I feel like we're not including everybody, but my apologies. We'll try to do better next time. KL5 UCL 73.
73.
73, WB5 R&D, great net, and good check on 446. Adios.
Good night, John. KJ5BKK here.
Thank y'all.
7-3, buddy. KJ5HGC.
73, everyone. KE5FAR.
Hoping more than just Mel would do that. Double click like CW. All right, we're ending the live stream. Thanks everybody for showing up. Sorry I missed your comments. Good night.